As you can see, I got my hair cut, and as you can also tell by the title, I am reviewing Season 3 of Korra. First off, I apologize I'm not vlogging individually in case any of you guys... Yeah. Because I did say I was going to do that, but I was away for most of the summer, and unfortunately I couldn't vlog out each episode individually. And I could do that, but it would take a while, and there's other stuff I want to vlog about. So I'm going to quickly I'm just going to do a season overview. So first, quick sum up on what I thought of Last Airbender and previous seasons of Korra. Enjoyed, adore Last Airbender. Season 1, there were some good ideas, but it was a little too slow paced. There was a little too much romance, and the ending sucked. Season 2, it was a bit more up and down, inconsistent in terms of quality. Some parts of it were really good, some parts of it were really bad. But once we got to beginnings, which is to date my favorite episode of Legend of Korra, it got much more consistent, entertaining, and ended on a pretty solid note. So, Book 3 was pretty good. Like, this is like the first season of Korra where I actually, for the most part, enjoyed it. I really don't have that many issues with it. Which is weird, because every season there's always been something bothering me, whether it be Korra whining and complaining too much, a dumb romance, the show's moving too slow, but I enjoyed it. I mean, I have issues with this season, but it's more just in a comparison to the high standards that are set by Last Airbender. On its own, this is a pretty fun and entertaining season. And before I go any further, I'm just going to say, I know this might be obvious, but spoilers. If you haven't seen Season 3, then you shouldn't watch this. And in case you're wondering why I'm not bitching about Nickelodeon airing it, I could, but I think everyone said everything that needs to be said on about how poorly Nickelodeon's handled airing this season. So first, let's start with everything I liked. Pacing was good. This show generally kept the plot moving. We never were stuck on one thing for too long. Season 1 of Korra, things generally took a while to get things moving. Book 2, took a while to get things moving, especially in regards to what we're doing this season and who our villain is. It takes 3 episodes of Book 1 of Korra to meet all the characters, learn who the villain is, and what he wants. Book 2, it takes about halfway through Season 2 before you know exactly what the villain wants and what our goal is. This one, first episode, we immediately learn what Korra is going to be up to this season and who our bad guys are. I mean, it takes a while for us to learn who they are and what they're about, but to meet them. And after coming off of Season 3 of Walking Dead, which moves really slow, to see a show that generally keeps the things moving nicely was really good. Also, Season 2, one thing that bothered me was how some characters really were just sort of there. They weren't really that useful. Sorry, I just remembered something I want to mention later. But anyway, so in Season 2, there were a couple of characters I felt like were just sort of there. Like, Beifong really didn't do anything last season. Asami was useless. Like, Mako Bolin, they just sort of ventured off into this Republic City plotline, which at the end of the day just felt like them getting something to do and not really contributing much to the story. Because the Republic City plotline, Book 2, really didn't tie back into anything. It's just sort of it ended and then they joined up with Korra. Whereas this, everyone was doing something useful and contributing to the story, which was nice. You had Beifong, they worked Beifong in, they worked Tenzin, Mako and Bolin felt useful, everyone felt useful, and one thing that Korra's always been, a lot of the characters on Last Airbender Legend of Korra don't feel that useful because Korra has the same skills as them. Like, Mako and Bolin are kind of useless because Korra can do the exact same bending as them. But the thing is, at least this season, they created scenarios where Mako and Bolin didn't have Korra, so they became a bit more useful. They gave Bolin lava bending, which was really nice. Mako has detective skills. Asami is now the brain. She's very technical, and hold on a second. Sorry, I thought I heard something outside. She's very technical, so everyone has their own little skill now, which is nice. And They were all contributing something to the story. At no point did it feel like they were just giving a character something to do. Kai Bumi kicked some serious ass towards the end of the season. Although I'm kind of bummed that Varric really didn't do anything. He was just sort of there in like an episode or two. It felt more like he was there just because he was there in the last season, and I kind of missed last season when he had a bit more of a role to play. I also like how everything in this season tied together nicely. Nothing was wasted. Mako's family came back. Going to Ba Sing Se to get airbenders, going to the Metal Clan to get airbenders, all that was relevant. It was not just done there just because. There was a point to it. There was a reason to everything in this season, which was very nice. Nothing felt wasted. There was nothing really annoying this season around. There was no bitchy core. There was no love triangle. Every season there's always been something that makes me go, ugh! But this season I had none of that. I also liked how this time it was an adventure story. We're moving around. I think just going to different locations just ultimately helped the show have much better pacing. Kind of wish Walking Dead did more of that, but again, I haven't seen season 4, so maybe they do. And I love some of the locations we visited. I like how we visited, Sorry, I just remembered something I want to bring up later. I love the metal city we go to. I liked the designs of the prisons. All the Red Lotus members are being held in. I did also enjoy revisiting Ba Sing Se. Also, I really enjoyed Korra this season. She was very likable. She wasn't annoying or bitchy or caught up in some dumb love triangle. The villains were really awesome. They had really cool powers. They had really cool voices. They were just awesome whenever they're on screen, and I wish we got a bit more development of them. I also like some of the nods to Last Airbender. I like seeing previous locations. I liked seeing characters from Last Airbender come back. I liked learning more about characters from Last Airbender. I really hope we get to see more of Zuko in Season 4, like maybe see the Fire Nation and his daughter. Although I still want to see Sokka's kids or something. I also liked how this season generally shocked me. There were some really holy shit moments, like the Earth Queen dying. And the animation was beautiful, and the music was wonderful. So for as good as the season was, there were still a couple things holding it back from being as good as Last Airbender. And again, this is still the best season by far of The Legend of Korra, but there are some things I think that were problematic. For one thing, I'm kind of bummed that every season's its own self-contained story. Like, hold on a second, I need to check on something. Okay, never mind. I thought I heard something outside. I just keep hearing voices. But okay, so as I was saying, I'm kind of bummed how every season of Korra is its own self-contained story. I mean, some stuff will carry over from season to season, but for the most part, the main villain and conflict will be resolved, and oftentimes we won't deal with whatever happened at the end of last season. We'll just move on to something else. Like season 3, I very much wanted to see Korra dealing with the spirits living amongst the humans, and they kind of dealt with that at the beginning of the episode. I really like that, which reminds me, by the way, I love the Korsami going on. I really want to see a ship of that, but unlikely. But I digress. So yeah, I really like Korra dealing with the spirits, and I was kind of bummed that we didn't focus on it. That just sort of segued into everyone getting airbending and stuff, and it was cool. I liked how we did see spirits running around Earth, but I would have liked a bit more of Korra trying to deal with humans and spirits getting along, and the whole Republic City spirit problem never got resolved, but maybe it'll get dealt with Season 4. So, while I'm kind of hoping that Season 4 will deal with the consequences of Season 3, I very much just feel like we're just going to springboard into something else like we do with Season 3. It's going to be fun, I'm kind of bummed that there's no ongoing story like Last Airbender. Also, at times, I felt like, while this season was really fun, at times I feel like they're trying to make it a bit too much like Last Airbender, and for as much as I didn't like Season 1 of Last Airbender, of Korra, it at least was trying to do something different and unique, whereas it really enjoy it, but I do feel like it was trying to be a bit much like Last Airbender. Also, I talked about Varric earlier. Also, the characters aren't as interesting as the ones in Last Airbender. They aren't bad characters, I do enjoy them, I just prefer the ones in Last Airbender. For one thing, Last Airbender, a lot of the characters had an arc, a transformation. Like, Aang had to grow and learn his powers, Zuko was gradually turning good. Characters in this show remain relatively static. Like, they don't have any major growing transformations over the show. There's not to say that they don't develop, but when you think of Last Airbender and how much characters grow in that show, and they don't grow as much here. Also, the villains kind of bummed me. Most of them were just there as henchmen. They didn't have as much personality. It wasn't like Last Airbender where Azula had her henchmen, but they had full-fledged personalities. And I wish we had gotten more screen time with them, or given them more personality, or maybe shown a flashback of how they met, maybe getting them thrown in prison. I would have loved to have seen a battle where Zuko, Tenzin, Korra's dad, and Sokka all tried to throw him in prison. Also, I feel like there were a little too many characters, but I think the show handled that well. Again, I feel like there's a little too many characters the show has to juggle, but it wasn't that bad. There were too many fake out deaths, though. And especially just one of which bothered me, which is having Korra die at the end of the season. I know she's not going to die. I know there's a fourth season, but... And also, the end of the season, it just felt way too much like it was trying to one-up the finale to Last Airbender. And you're rehashing the end of Book 2 Earth by having the Avatar seem to die, but then she comes back. And also, waste of a flashback. I don't know, I felt like the flashback episode should be about something more central to the show, like previous seasons. But it was still a really good episode, so I can't complain that much. And before I go, I just want to say, is it just me or is the metal bending guard that saved Korra's dad's life? I feel like she's evil or secretly a member of the Red Lotus. I don't know, I just heard the evil music a bit when we focused on her. But we'll have to see. Wait and see in Season 4. And yeah, so that's all I have to say on this season. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait for the next one. So, until next time, JStarC60, signing out.